Hey, yo, welcome to the show. I am your host, Harry. With me, as always, is Tyson.
Let me talk to you.
And we got quite the week in wrestling to cover. But first, Tyson, how was your week?
You caught me right in the drink. Good week, good week. A lot of crazy stuff happened, but nothing too crazy. So I go to the um, post office, drop off some of my eBay packages because I have an eBay store, by the way. And this dude is standing in front of the post office, and he has literally a shopping cart full of weapons
At the post office?
at the post office.
Okay.
Everybody was clearly freaking out.
What did the guy want?
I don't know. He was just cracked out and decided that he wanted to spend his time at the post office with a bunch of weapons.
Okay.
And he's talking shit to everybody who's walking in. Obviously, no one's saying anything back to him.
Probably smart.
And then he said something to me, and I said, Tyson doesn't even know you, and believe me, you don't even want to know Tyson in that way. So I go back to my car and I grab my mask and I said, let me drop some gospel on your bitch ass. Just kidding. But that is, I was thinking of doing that. But yeah, and they called the cops on him and he ran off.
Of course.
I was like, where's the guy with a big ass cart disappeared?
Why you got to take a big ass cart with you and then run away?
I don't know.
Pussy.
Them drugs, I tell you.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into Raw.
Monday Night's Raw.
And we are in Hartford, Connecticut. And of course, they did a Backlash recap. And I like how they featured Priest and Uso last. It makes sense because it's Raw. And it's a nice little touch.
Yep. It's your champion.
And as Judgment Day comes over, because Judgment Day comes out first, they go over the King of the Ring tournament. And the SmackDown, it's a SmackDown bracket and a Raw bracket. SmackDown bracket's going to be revealed on SmackDown, of course. We have 3 Raw matches tonight. Kofi Kingston and Rey Mysterio will take place at a live event. And McIntyre is officially out of the tournament per Adam Pearce. So the matches are Gunther versus Sheamus, Kofi versus Rey Mysterio, Ilya Dragunov versus Ricochet, and then Jey Uso versus Finn Balor.
So far, so good.
Yep. And Judgment Day comes out, and it's Dominic Mysterio, McTurd, Balor, and Priest. Priest brings up Jey Uso and that Hartford and France seem to really love him. But in the end, it doesn't mean dick, because he's still the champion, so get on your fucking feet. Then Priest wants to address what happened at Backlash. And Balor's like, motherfucker, we already apologized. What more do you want from us? And Priest is like, no. What happened after the match is you came, you helped me, and I lost my temper, and I fucked up. I'm still champion because of you. I lost my cool. I'm sorry, guys. And Priest appreciates McTurd, and he calls Balor his brother. So the Judgment Day established that they're friends again this week.
Yep, cooler heads are prevailing.
Next week's a different story, but this week they're friends.
Of course.
And then Priest brings up the King of the Ring. Balor says McIntyre isn't medically cleared, so he gets a first-round bye in the tournament. And Pierce comes out and he says, the hell you do. McIntyre's out of the tournament, but you are not getting a first-round bye. King of the Ring is an honor, so you're going to earn it. And Pierce puts Balor in a match with Jey Uso. I may have spoiled that. So, of course, Jey beat Finn. And McIntyre came out through the crowd, to provide a distraction that did not work whatsoever.
Yeah, he didn't really do anything either. He just stood there.
Yeah. So they go to commercial, and when they come back, McIntyre and Pierce are talking. Well, McIntyre's talking. And McIntyre feels that Uso's getting rewarded somehow for his injury. Pierce says it's not about anything else but McIntyre's arm. McIntyre says he doesn't care about his arm. He wants to put tape on it like a real man, unlike that CM Punk. Pierce says, well, if you didn't bring it up, nobody would know about it. And McIntyre tells Pierce to go screw himself, and he gets in a car and drives away. And literally, as the car drives away, Punk pulls up in his car. He wants to know where McIntyre is. Pierce tells him you just missed him. Punk looks upset, but then he tells Pierce to have the truck play his music because he's got something to say. And
Just missed him.
Yeah. So from the time that McIntyre starts to the time that CM Punk goes to the ring, it's one continuous shot. And it really works when they do something like this with interesting people. Like Punk bullshitting with everyone on his way to the ring is something I don't remember Uso or Sammy or Seth's husband doing. And it just makes it a lot more interesting. And I like that he ran into Alpha Academy too at the entranceway, and Gable's berating his team.
He sure is. And he's like, take it easy on him.
Right. So sure enough, Punk's music plays, and he gets to the ring. He gets his mic, and he starts winding up his injured tricep, which makes me start to question if he was ever injured in the first place. Because aside from maybe a couple pictures with the cast, this injury doesn't seem like it was anything.
I think he's just healing faster than everybody expected, or he might not even be injured anymore, and they're just waiting.
I don't know, but I like that he's giving me room for doubt, I guess. Like that fucking faker.
He does look like he's getting in good shape too.
Right.
Or maybe it's just because he's wearing the sleeveless shirts.
Probably
I don't know. Those traps are looking big.
Well, Punk says he's sorry he's late. He was locked in the performance center, but when he got out, he drove straight here. Didn't even take a shit first. And Punk was also wants to fight McIntyre, but McIntyre's not here. So last week, Punk said what he needed was just long enough to do his business for as long as McIntyre was champion. But now he's going to hold Raw hostage until McIntyre turns around and gets his ass back to the arena. So Punk tells the fans to tweet at McIntyre, let him know that Punk is in the ring talking shit, and if he's not a coward, he'll turn around and come shut Punk up. While they're waiting, Punk says to the crowd, well, I'd ask you what you want to talk about, but that's some other guy's gimmick. So can I tell you a story instead? And Punk goes back to the Royal Rumble, said McIntyre DDT'd the tricep right off of Punk's bone. Punk was heartbroken because he thought McIntyre ruined Punk's WrestleMania dreams. So Punk had a good cry. Then he picked himself back up, realized McIntyre ruined nothing. He just delayed the inevitable. Then Punk calls himself a 5-tool player, just like in baseball. Punk can do everything, while McIntyre, he's just a tool. Punk says for weeks he's listened to McIntyre run his mouth about how he prayed and is glad that Punk got injured. Well, McIntyre picked a fight with the pettiest man on the entire roster. And then McIntyre's bitching went from I injured CM Punk to CM Punk ruined my WrestleMania and then broke my elbow. Punk says McIntyre hates everything about him, but yet when Punk tunes in, all he does is talk about Punk. He sits like Punk, tries to speak like Punk, tries to be Punk. Punk asks McIntyre if he really hates Punk or if he hates himself. And then the crowd goes, ooh.
Ooh.
Punk calls McIntyre a choke artist. Not like how Punk's a choke artist, right, Pat? Two very different things.
Well, Hangman Page, or no, Jungle Boy reference.
Yep.
And you notice
And
how the crowd didn't react at all? Because
no,
no one knows. On that side, no one knows who the hell Jack Perry is. But everybody knows who CM Punk is. So everybody was on the Twitter machine. Oh yeah, that joke line that it fell flat. He botched, or
it didn't fall flat at all. I was having a hearty chuckle. Punk says he's the unforgiving consequences to McIntyre's actions. And the next time he sees him, Punk's going to break his face and his heart. And all this praying, I don't know if you're God-fearing, but the fact that you didn't show up tonight proves that you're terrified of CM Punk. And Punk then says he's going to go to Glasgow, Scotland to hide in a bowl of haggis so he can attack McIntyre.
So they're teasing that this may be taking place at Clash at the Castle, which I think is after. I don't know. Sounds like it's after King of the Ring with how they're talking about it.
Well, it's definitely after King of the Ring.
No, I mean like the pay-per-view
very
following
next one?
King of the Ring.
Maybe. I don't know. I do know that the longer they wait to lay hands on each other, the more awesome it's going to be.
Yeah, being hurt actually helped him.
Right. After that, Ricochet said some things. And Braun Strowman came in to say some things too.
Braun Strowman. First of all, Braun Strowman looks like a freaking giant with his big ass chest. Yeah, he basically just said hi to Ricochet because they used to be that tag team, and then I think her name is Jackie Redmond. She asked him, "Well, why did you go out there and help? Why didn't you go out there and help whoever it was last week?" And he said, "Why? I don't like bullies, and I always stand up for the little guy." That's what Braun Strowman said. Braun Strowman.
Mm.
So now, if you recall, or maybe you don't, during the pandemic, and he was shitting on people for working the indies.
The flippity floppers. Was that during the pandemic? I thought that was right after it.
No, the flippy floppers were different.
Oh.
But yeah, basically he was shitting on people who work in the indies.
Oh, that's right. Right.
So yeah, it's just funny that he's mentioning that he doesn't like bullies yet, when he was shitting on them. Because yeah, people were complaining about them not having work or whatever. And he's like, well, don't be in the indies.
Yeah, save your money. Yeah, he said something really dumb.
So yeah, it's just a funny thing there.
Well, Io Sky beat Natalia with a moonsault. Pretty good match. I still think Io's awesome, even if WWE doesn't. Dakota Kai said after the match, everyone's on notice, and they're somehow going to get all the titles they've lost back. And I wrote, seriously?
Well, I do hope that Io is going to be the winner of the Queen of the Ring. She should at least be in the final. Well, okay, she should be in the finals. I forgot what happens on the other side.
Well, Ilya Dragunov had a vignette. And the only thing I got from that is he said, I drink from the chalice of suffering until hell feels like home. So I thought that was a cool line. And then Dragunov faced Ricochet.
Ricochet.
I think the facial hair helps Dragunov. I don't know why, but he just looks like a gimp without it. And so it was a fine match, I guess. I just hate how they each have to get every single one of their fucking moves in. Like, I'm sorry, Ricochet's not even mid-card right now. So if you're going to try to establish Dragunov, having him need to throw everything in his arsenal to win doesn't make any sense. It's exactly what we saw what Cody had to do with fucking what's his face. Everyone has to win with everything that they have, and it's like doesn't, I don't know.
Well, I thought it was a good match
Oh yeah, Dragunov won with a falling elbow.
with an H bomb. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good match.
It was fine. It's just if you're trying to establish somebody, having him use everything in his arsenal to beat a fucking jobber isn't the way to do it in my mind.
Jobber, that's the
No, fuck him. He's a piece of
champion.
shit. He's nothing.
It's a speed champion you're talking about right there.
Just stop. And then yeah, Cody had to do the same thing with Hayes. So you need to like clearly establish people are better than other people. Instead of just having, they're even. He just happened to win because he did one more move than the other guy.
I don't know. I think we were just establishing that it's going to be a wrestling tournament.
Okay.
I mean, you're supposed to believe that anybody in this tournament can win.
And that's fine, but you're debuting this mad dragon that's supposed to be this fucking crazy guy, and he just has the same match that anybody else has. He has a 20 fucking minute match with Ricochet that anybody else would have.
It was a hard-hitting affair.
Okay. And it was the same fucking hard-hitting affair that you would see from anybody else. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing about what Eli Dragunov did stood out above what anybody else did. You can insert him with anybody else. You could put fucking Kaiser in there. It would look the same.
Okay. Now, I did
look at what they're doing with Braun Breaker.
Yeah, he's not in the tournament.
No, but he's in there and he's being established as a fucking wrecking ball.
Well, I mean, come on.
You don't need to do the same thing with Dragunov, but you can at least make him stand out in more of a way than just inserting him as another guy.
Or maybe he shouldn't have been in the tournament.
Maybe
they should have debuted him another way. But I do think, kind of on the same lines of that, I was just thinking, like, watching this match is like, how could he possibly, like, this is a pay-per-view quality match and we're just on like Monday Night Raw. How could he possibly keep that pace up?
You thought that was a pay-per-view quality match?
Yeah. And it's like, how he can't come out here and do this every night.
How is that a pay-per-view quality match?
I don't know, just the physicality, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. That was
okay.
I would say it was a pay-per-view quality match minus obviously the commercials. Like, they utilized all 20 of those minutes.
We'll just have to agree to disagree on that one. But I didn't see anything. There wasn't anything about his pace that was extraordinary to me. There's nothing about him that, like I said, there's nothing about him that was made special. He's just another guy that debuted.
Fair enough.
Sheamus is interviewed after that, and to prepare for Gunther, he's had medical procedures on his neck. And then Gunther gets under Sheamus' skin, and the idea of Gunther being king sickens him. And they've had bangers in the past, but tonight he's kicking Gunther's arse. Good shit.
Sure. Sure, Sheamus.
And Zoe Stark beat Ivy Nile. And I wrote good.
Yes, she did.
And R-Truth had a segment I skipped through. He wanted to wrestle the Huskies or something, equally dumb. Braun Breaker came in to yell at Pierce for not being in the King of the Ring tournament, and then Pierce wanted to talk to him about it in his office.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, not about that part. The Ivy Nile and Zoe Stark match, I don't know.
Oh, I didn't watch it.
And then also the R-Truth thing. So this whole segment of television was like, okay.
Did you watch
get 'em on
Stark and
TV.
Nile?
Yes.
Okay. Was it any good?
No.
Okay.
The crowd might as well have not even been there.
Mm.
And there was a moment where they were like trying to figure out what to do on the top rope, and they were there for like almost a minute. So there's that. But aside from that, it was, I don't know, it was just a match.
Well, Chad Gable faced Bronson Reed, and of course, Sammy ended up getting involved. Reed leaves Gable and Sammy lying, and Gunther's successor has been laid out for yet another week. Pierce yells at Reed after the match for costing Sammy. Wait. Pierce yells at Reed after the match for Sammy costing him another match. And then Reed says all he cares about is the IC title. And Sammy predictably asked for a triple threat match because he's a pussy.
At the Queen and the King of the Ring.
Yeah.
Is this going to be Chad Gable's moment? Or is Bronson Reed taking this pinfall from Sammy?
I just know that they went from something that could possibly be good and Gable and Sammy and inserted Reed for no fucking reason.
What do you mean? He's big Bronson Reed.
So
he deserves a title match.
He's had a title match.
He's more deserving than Gable. Gable hasn't, like, where's Gable won the number one contendership? He hasn't.
No, but he's had a thing with Sammy though. I think Gable and Sammy is more compelling than just Reed's big fat ass being there. He's a third wheel.
Well, he's going to be a third wheel.
Mm. Well, we get Gunther after that. And he says he's facing Sheamus, who he already heard wants to put a banger after banger on. And Gunther says, well, I don't care about bangers. I care about being the greatest of all time. And if I have to expose Sheamus again for being the weak, simple-minded people pleaser he is, so be it. Sheamus will pose no obstacle for the ring general, soon to be king.
And he will be. I think we're heading for... my early predictions is we're heading for Gunther, Randy Orton in the finals.
We'll have to see. Seth's husband had a segment that I skipped. Who cares?
Oh, my God. It's a good thing. When I saw this segment, when I was sitting through the segment, I actually said to myself, I hope he does not watch this. Because I am going to hear it the rest of the night if he watches this. like they start out talking about it's a sit down with Michael Cole.
Hmm.
They start out talking about the Kentucky Derby, her hat, because she's wearing a crazy hat. Michael Cole kept pressing her. I mean, seriously, what is that hat? Because he's like, oh, you were at the Kentucky Derby. Look at your outfit. Look at the hat. I don't know. It's the Kentucky Derby. No, seriously though, what is that hat? Where did you get it? It's like, please, let's stop talking about the hat. And then, it finally got to a point where Becky's like, I don't know, I got it on Etsy. And then she talks up the division with all the newcomers. She really talks up Valkyria, whatever her name is. And then out comes Liv Morgan. The best thing to do when Liv Morgan is on the microphone, I'm starting to get, is maybe to mute the microphone. I'm sorry, maybe to mute the TV. And that is the best way to consume Liv Morgan content, is to have the volume off. But nevertheless, she comes out, she says, oh, you're mentioning everybody else, but you're not mentioning me. When am I going to get some respect? I've won I've won Money in the Bank. Becky Lynch says, well, you never beat me. Liv Morgan talks about, well, now she has purpose. And then she talks about the title match that Becky Lynch promised her. And it is set for Queen and King of the Ring.
Just call it King of the Ring. Yeah, they don't need to put that other
Hey,
word in there.
I'm giving them proper branding. And
well, when they give themselves proper branding, we can follow suit.
Well, Liv Morgan's going to be fully clothed in this match. So there you go. And so now you need to skip it, because they're going to be in Saudi, so only their eyeballs can show.
Is that the end of the segment?
No, actually it wasn't. So after that, Damage Control comes out. They start to surround the ring with Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch in there. Liv Morgan rolls out of the ring. This is not my problem. So now you got 3-on-1 Damage Control to Becky Lynch. And then out comes Lila Valkyria is her name. Sorry, I got that wrong. And then she helps Becky Lynch. And that's the end of the segment, because then we go into Valkyria versus Dakota Kai. And I'll go ahead and you probably didn't watch that either. So
yeah, I wrote some ugly bitch beat Dakota Kai.
Again, no crowd reaction from this match. And Valkyria won, of course, because, she's the newcomer, so she advances in the tournament. And yeah, something's off about her gimmick. The I don't know. Like
whose gimmick?
The Valkyria.
Oh. I don't even know what her gimmick is.
I don't know. She's like a bird or something. She wears a lot of feathers.
Oh.
I don't know. I would have to watch NXT to know that information, but I don't.
Okay. Well, was that the end of the segment?
That is the end of the segment, yes.
All right. Well, I'd like to take this time to bring attention to Seth Rollins' failure as a man and as a husband for allowing his wife to wear that ridiculous fucking hat out in public. It is his job to protect his woman from all sorts of harm, scrutiny, and bad things in the world. And that includes protecting her from herself. So, yeah, terrible.
Well, there was a conversation about him too. He's wearing like an orange tablecloth type suit,
He just looks outdated. She looks like she's wearing a fucking piece of a roof or something on top of her head.
Yeah, it was out there. It was definitely out there.
It's stupid. I don't know. There's eccentric and then there's just retarded. And that's what Becky is. She thinks she's a trendsetter. That's the funny thing about it.
I don't know what trend that was going to set.
I don't
Who's
know
wearing
either.
that in any other situation? Now I
Nobody.
get it. Like the thing on the Kentucky Derby is you're supposed to wear big hats. So there's that, but I don't know, it was a stupid hat.
It just shows that she has no fashion sense.
Well, I can't speak on that. I'm not a fashion person.
I can. I'm a fashionista.
Did you watch the speaking of fashion, did you watch the Met Gala that was this
No, of
weekend?
course not.
Oh, well, there you go. It was this weekend.
Is that the thing where a bunch of rich people dress up and talk about how awesome their clothes are?
Yeah, it's now I learned, unfortunately, that the Met Gala is like I don't know, the outlandish things that they're wearing is on purpose. It's like
Yeah,
some
no.
kind of costume thing to wear to raise awareness for something. So yeah, it's supposed to be ridiculous.
Because I think that isn't that where yeah, never mind. I don't care. Kofi had a promo. He's sad that Woods is hurt and is going for Gunther and winning the tournament for Woods and beating Mysterio at the live event this weekend. By the way, they haven't mentioned that the match is on a live event. They just said one of the matches is going to be at a live event, and I just assumed it'd be Kofi and it'd be the minorities.
Well, I mean, who else were you going to take off? But
Ela and Ricochet?
no, you need that one.
Okay. I could have done without that.
I forgot what I was going to say about it. So we move on.
Okay. Gunther versus Sheamus happened next.
Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to see if we have any results on that. Kofi versus Ray. Let's see. Brandon is going. Well, it is this weekend.
It didn't happen yet.
Doesn't look like. I mean, I know that Tiffany Stratton and whoever she was facing happened. Let's go to the old WWE. Am I sharing this?
No, I don't think so.
Good. Just a moment, everybody. Good. I don't want to get our shit shut down because you know how my Twitter timeline looks. All those thirst traps.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I don't think it's happened yet. So no. We move on.
Haven't yet, I guess. Yeah, Gunther faced Sheamus. And I guess Sheamus's beat switch is here to stay, just like The Rock. So at the beginning of the match, Sheamus inconsistently sold Gunther's protected chop, and then Kaiser helped Gunther fuck Sheamus's knee up. I don't know why the fuck Gunther needs help all of a sudden. And Gunther won with a half crab after wrestling a one-legged Sheamus for another 10 minutes. I thought Gunther deserved better than that.
I guess from my end, it was just another hard hitting affair. Sheamus and Gunther. Anytime they get into it, now I have more respect for Sheamus than you do. So
They
I
were
know
talking about how fucking fat he was last week. What are you talking about?
they were.
What's there to
He's already
respect
getting in
about him?
better shape, isn't he?
Good for him. I didn't think he was in bad shape to begin with. But I mean, he's treated like a joke. He's basically a comedy act that hits hard in the ring.
Yeah.
I just
So that's
I
what I'm
just
saying.
know that I just know that since he's been on the main roster, Gunther's chop has been the most devastating move on the roster. And I know he hasn't needed help. And the fact that he needed help from Kaiser against somebody that not only has he beaten before, but he's beaten with some other guy as an opponent, just doesn't make any sense to me. You got the best wrestler in the world, and I don't know, you just took all the things that make him special. They just fucking took away in one match for Sheamus. Now, it would have made sense if they did it for Dragunov, because Dragunov's beat him. Maybe Gunther doesn't want to lose to Dragunov again on his quest for the heavyweight title. That would make sense. But for Sheamus, no. And there's just no fucking thought put into any of this.
Well, I think we were protecting Sheamus a little bit.
Fuck Sheamus. There's one, Sheamus doesn't need protecting. Two, Sheamus isn't. He's peaked.
Oh, I don't know about that.
He's peaked.
He's got one more run in him.
He's got more run in him, but he has peaked. He has been the best he has ever been. He's passed, or the highest. Maybe not the best in the but the highest he'll ever be in position wise in the company. He's well past that. If he ever becomes champion again, it'll be as a transition champion like JBL or something.
I think he's going to win the Intercontinental title at some point. That's the only one that's missing from his resume.
There you go. So that's the goal that Sheamus is aspiring to in your mind, while Gunther should be aspiring to the Universal title. And for them to ruin
the King of the Ring right now,
and then for them to ruin Gunther's, like, all the things that make him Gunther for this fuck. Protect Sheamus. Fuck that shit.
Well, Sheamus is still going to be putting out those bangers.
Yeah, whatever.
We'll get back.
But that was Raw. At least we had the Punk segment.
That was Monday Night Raw.
Then we go to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania for SmackDown.
Whoa.
Yeah. My bad.
Whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at 355 subscribers. What that means is we are close. I'm sorry. We're at 455 subscribers. 455 subscribers. That means we are close to 500 subscribers. And the only way we can do that is by you hitting that like button and the subscribe button. Also, let's do a little bit of shout out. Shout out to the audio listeners. Shout out to the 4% women. Happy Mother's Day if any of you are women.
How do we have any women?
If any of you are mothers.
How much do you hate yourselves if you listen to us?
I don't know.
God.
But yeah, if any of you are mothers, shout out and happy Mother's Day. And then We're also on TikTok and Instagram. Links to everything will be in the description next to the like button. But we're close, guys. We're close. 500 is where we're trying to get. I don't know why women watch our. I have no idea.
They must have got lost.
There's no other content. They're out of content.
Oh, you know what? I bet it's that Oscar video.
Oh, yeah, it could be.
Are we ready for SmackDown?
Yes, now we can move on to SmackDown.
All right. And we are in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Of course, we need to we need to recap Backlash here too. And Cody's recap was last. Again, nice touch. Little thing, but it subliminally lets you know what the priority is for this show. And it should be. So we get a King of the Ring rundown for SmackDown, and it's Styles versus Orton, Baron Corbin versus Carmelo Hayes, LA Knight versus Escobar, D'Angelo. Is it D'Angelo? It was Dawkins
Angelo.
versus Tom. Yeah, okay. Angelo Dawkins versus Tama Tonga. And Dawkins replaced Lashley because if you paid attention to the internet, Aldis tweeted that Lashley was pulled out due to injury. It starts off with Aldis in the ring, and he brings out Cody right away. Aldis congratulates Cody for defeating Styles, who he said was no small feat. And now it's time to focus on the King of the Ring. And Aldis says he knows Cody wants to be a fighting champion. He wants to face the best and defend his title whenever he can. So Aldis says Cody's new challenger has been decided already. Logan Paul's being gifted a second title shot at Saudi Arabia. They said some shit. I skipped to the end.
Yes, indeed. What is happening? Logan Paul is getting a title shot. And on the other side of that, Cody Rhodes is getting a title shot because it is going to be title versus title. So someone is walking out double. Cody Rhodes is walking out double champion. Why that is, I don't know. Yeah, that could be something. It's a disqualification. It's a waste of time. But the Saudi shows, I mean, you know.
I just know that Aldis said your new challenger's been decided. Cody turns around in anticipation as he brings him out, and all I hear is, "Hey, yo!" Fuck that, man. God.
Yeah.
This motherfucker just had a title shot. He has
and he's a champion.
Yeah, come on, man.
But we got to get that Saudi money, so you got to show up. Now, the question
they
here,
couldn't have put Logan Paul in another match.
I know, defend his title maybe.
Yeah.
that he has. I don't know. I think they're just it's starting to become clear that maybe they don't have
they don't
direction for Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, off of that. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say there was a report that said just what you said, that they don't have a plan for Cody Rhodes, which is bullshit. Why the fuck are you going to go through all this trouble for the whole story thing and not have a fucking plan after that?
Right. And I just want to say to all the people who wanted Roman Reigns to lose his title, oh, Roman's boring. He only wrestles 7 times this year. We need a new champion. It's time for Cody Rhodes. To all those people, look at you now. Because this is what you're fighting champion. Now we got Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes. He's a fighting champion and he wrestles every pay-per-view. And they didn't have a direction for it. So now look at it. Look what you done. You happy now?
Well, one, that's not Cody's fault. The fucking Hunter, the best booker ever, didn't have a fucking plan after beating Roman. That's not Cody. That's not on Cody. I do agree though that there needs to be a balance, because you don't want the Roman thing where the guy only shows up when he wants to. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think it's a good move to have your guy just wrestle every single fucking show he's on.
Yeah,
I don't
just
mind him
wrestling
being
just because it's a pay-per-view.
right. I don't mind him being there or making an appearance. And I was thinking, like, Stone Cold, he wouldn't necessarily wrestle every night, and there were some nights he wasn't even there. All he did was he just flapped his gums, maybe he did a stunner, and then leave.
Yeah, being on TV, I can get you there, but wrestling just because it's a pay-per-view, this is what you run into. Because
Well, then you run into situations where he has to throw everything in his arsenal at Carmelo Hayes. And it's like, that doesn't do anything for anybody.
back on the Carmelo Hayes, huh?
Uh-huh.
He was drafted in the first round.
He was a NXT rookie wrestling the undisputed champion who just defeated the guy that held the belt for 1,000 days.
That's true.
And he had to use Bulldog's move. He had to use shit that we haven't seen Cody use before on fucking Carmelo Hayes. And then one week later, we get the same thing with Eli Dragunov and fucking Ricochet. Copy paste.
Going back there, huh?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's what all the people get, and I don't know. Yeah, it's either going to be a DQ or Cody's walking out as double champion.
Yeah.
And I guess that means...
Yeah, I would lean more towards a disqualification or something.
Well, there's a chance that maybe Logan Paul's going away for a little bit. I didn't see that anywhere, but there is a chance because he does other stuff.
Okay, so if he beats Logan Paul and he wins the U.S. title, that means he either has to defend both belts at once or he has to lose the U.S. title.
Well, what I saw it as is he beats Logan Paul, he vacates the title, and then I don't know. But he vacates the title, and then they do a tournament, or well, we can't do another tournament. We're already in one. Probably a battle royal or a fatal 4-way, something.
I don't know if I like that at all.
Well, I don't see. I would hope Cody Rhodes doesn't hold both titles. That just doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they just don't.
So it's got to be a DQ.
It's got to be a DQ. Fucking
That's
stupid. So stupid.
Yeah.
There's nobody on the roster that Cody can wrestle right now. What if Cody wrestled Braun Breaker?
He's on Raw.
Oh, that's right.
And I guess, to their credit, I guess, or not to their credit, but everybody is kind of tied up in the King of the Ring thing right now. So all your names are over there. AJ Styles, Randy Orton. Where's Kevin Owens? He could have had a match.
He was hurt.
Oh, geez, everybody's getting hurt.
Well, he wasn't legit hurt. He was taken out by Solo at Backlash.
Oh, He's selling that.
Yeah.
But Randy Orton's back.
He didn't get spiked.
Good. That's good. And in that case, he might not be back until SummerSlam.
Maybe. Which I'd be okay with that. Owens is kind of annoying.
There you go.
AJ Styles is interviewed after all that shit. He said he had Cody beat, but the France crowd's little chants and singing distracted him. And the next time he faces Cody, it's going to be a different result. He's going to win the King of the Ring tournament, and that's the first step to that goal. Sure.
Yep.
Nia Jax beat Naomi. Who cares?
Advancing in the Queen of the Ring tournament. Did we ever think Naomi was going to win that match? She hadn't won anything since she had gotten back singles.
I don't know. Liv Morgan beat Nia Jax. Anything's possible in the WWE.
Fair enough. But Nia Jax advances.
Baron Corbin's interviewed after that, and Corbin's asked how he's changed, even though he sounds exactly the same, and he looks exactly the same. And Hayes comes in, he talks some shit, and then he furthers the issue with Lashley. And again, if Lashley needs more than 3 minutes on this fucker, I'm not going to be happy. They're going to face each other later, they being Corbin and Hayes. And DIY got a vignette.
They sure did.
We got Corbin versus Hayes. And I'm actually starting to warm to Hayes slightly. If I look at him like the suburban black guy trying to be a thug, surrounding himself with, real thugs, it works for me. Like, it's just like the act is an act type thing. Especially the facials.
That gimmick is already existing on NXT.
What's that?
I forgot his name. So there's Scripps.
He's gone.
No.
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay. Well, he had a gimmick where he was with these two like ex-football players, and you can tell they were like thug,
mm-hmm.
And he was like sticking out like a sore thumb. He's like Carlton.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call Hayes Carlton, but I wouldn't put him on the
he ain't walking level. He ain't walking through Deep Ellum, is what you're saying.
Right. Or if he is, he has an entourage and he's talking the talk, but
behind everybody.
Right. He's the guy sitting behind the desk with the thugs, working for him. And then he talks like a thug behind the thugs.
Random side note: have you ever seen the movie Get Hard? Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's a funny movie.
Will Ferrell's trying to be black.
No, so he was actually quite the opposite. He was like a super like Wall Street rich white guy, and he was sentenced to go to jail. So he enlists Kevin Hart, who he assumes is a thug and went to jail because he's like, hey, can you teach me how to survive in prison? Sorry, he's going to prison. So yeah, he's like, can you teach me how to survive in prison? So that's the premise of the movie.
Okay.
And Kevin Hart is suburban black guy, but he doesn't know that because he's black, so He must have gone to prison.
But yeah, if I kind of look at Hayes that way, I appreciate him a little bit more.
There you go.
And this was a pretty damn good match. Corbin's rock bottom on the turnbuckle was great, and so was the suplex he turned into a cutter. And it seems like Corbin's back to making the wrestlers they want to establish look good and take losses for Breaker when they eventually team up again. And Hayes ended up winning with a small package that he countered from the deep six. And it looks like it was botched slightly, which kind of weakened the finish a little, but what can you do? Corbin wasn't going to win anyway.
Right. I don't even know if he should have been in the King of the Ring match, but there you go. I guess someone would have to be in there.
He's probably in there to give Hayes a win.
True.
Bayley's interviewed. She's asked about her favorite in the tournament, and Bayley wants to go ahead and get her loss to Jade out of the way. And then a harpy and a whale interrupt. So I skipped to the end.
They didn't really say anything.
Cool.
And that would be Chelsea Green, or I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. And Piper Niven.
Chelsea Green.
Yes. And Piper Niven.
That's your one and only. Randy Orton gets interviewed, and Randy's apparently the King of the Ring favorite. I guess Styles is too. And Randy says he's done everything but win King of the Ring. Styles is great, but it's phenomenal when I hit him with an RKO out of nowhere. Then Orton addresses Tama Tonga. Says he took out his bestie, Kevin Owens, at Backlash, so it ain't over. Orton can tell from the bracket that they're going to cross paths in the tournament. And when they do, Tama's going to see his RKO coming right for him. So Jade beat a whale, and they did the unstoppable force immovable object deal, which was pretty interesting to start the match. Barrett said that Chelsea's voice sounded like a cat being castrated, and I couldn't disagree one bit. And the whale needs to learn how to fucking throw a goddamn clothesline. She was doing short arm clotheslines, and I don't know. It's like she's never seen a clothesline before. Jay did a blue thunder bomb on the whale, and Barrett said that she's never received offense like that ever in her entire career, which I immediately called bullshit because she's faced Nia Jax, she's faced Rhea Ripley, she's faced Bianca Belair. I know for a fact that one of them has given them a Riptide or a KOD.
Oh, they've actually both done that.
Okay. And Jade won with a Jaded. And it was actually a really good match, if I'm being completely honest, despite the harsh criticisms that I'm giving. The Harpy got involved by slapping Jade. Jade sold it like it was a baseball bat, but whatever. And then Harpy got hers in the end. And Jade didn't just whoop Niven's ass. She was allowed to get a little bit of offense in, and she was made to sell. And
yeah, sure. She was receiving criticism for.
Yeah.
Not that she did sell, that the fact that she hasn't sold yet.
Right.
Oh, she doesn't know how to sell. She never sells. She just all
did okay.
offense.
I thought she did better selling than fucking the whale did at giving the offense. Those clotheslines were so fucking awful. I still hate the hand licking thing.
Especially when she was slapping hands with people afterwards.
Right.
They were getting that licked hand.
She was slapping hands.
The same hand, by the way.
She was slapping hands with people before. So think about it. Some dude just jerked off, didn't wash his hands. She's slapping hands with him, and then she's licking it.
Well, I mean, it's been hours. He didn't jerk off in the arena.
You don't know that.
Oh, Jade's about to come out. Let me go get one in.
Storm's about to come. Not Jade came out, so she can steal some of the real Jade spotlight, which I thought was shitty. And
Well, there was
Nakamura.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say there is a seed planted in the Bianca match. So, Wade Barrett, he said that, oh, you can't let Jade show you up because that's your tag team partner. So you gotta see which one is you can't show that you're the weak link of the team. So that's a little seed.
Well,
So now you can
obviously
see
they're
what they're
teamed up
building towards.
to split apart.
And that's the only way they're gonna lose those titles is by split. Because they ain't getting pinned.
Before not Jade's match, Nakamura had a vignette. It's just like any of the vignettes we've seen from him.
Yeah, I was like, shut up, Nakamura.
Right.
You know you ain't doing nothing. Unfortunately.
But yeah, not Jade beat the purple sparkle bitch.
Candice LeRae would be the translation there. And Bianca Belair is not Jade.
She's definitely not Jade. Bloodline backstage, and they're in a dark locker room. It kind of looks like a high school locker room, which is, it kind of works since they're the B bloodline. They're in the lesser locker room, but they've made it like, I don't know, evil looking. And Tom is speaking in tongues while the other two look stoic. Heyman wants to speak to Solo alone. Solo just kind of slightly turns to the other two and they get the hint and walk away. Heyman says he understands that he's Roman's wise man, but Solo's going rogue. Solo stops him, brings up Heyman lying about Roman's draft status. Solo said that was a mistake, and because of it, they were drafted in the 3rd round of that dog shit fucking draft instead of number 1. To be fair, I would be irate if not Jade got drafted ahead of me too. So Solo has a point. Solo accuses Heyman of taking money out of Solo's pocket and trying to take food off his kid's table. And Heyman's like, no, I'm not trying to do that. And Solo said, when we ran into Jay at Backlash, what the fuck was that look all about? Were you trying to signal him? Heyman's like,
Solo sees it all.
Right? Solo does what nobody else does. He watches the show.
Yeah.
Heyman denies both claims. And Solo says he understands Heyman's the wise man. He's only looking out for Roman, the bloodline, the family. He says, you haven't spoken to Roman since he lost our title at WrestleMania, right? Right? Makes Heyman say, no, I haven't. Solo says, well, I have. And so Roman comes back. He said, I'm in charge. I call the shots. So you will be my wise man by orders of the tribal chief. Now give me a hug. And Heyman and Solo hug. Solo tells Heyman that he loves him. I love you, wise man. Come here, wise man. I love you. And then he turns and he gives an ominous look to Tonga Loa. Holy shit. This is good stuff.
It is. And I'm so glad that Solo was able to speak to Roman and get the blessing that he is carrying the name of the bloodline right now.
Right.
I'm glad that that's been established because, on the outside looking in, it looked like there was a rogue takeover. And when Roman came back, there's going to be some bad things ahead for him. But now he has clearly spoken to Solo, and we've established that Solo has been appointed by Roman Reigns, so everybody can rest easy.
You don't think Solo's bullshitting?
No, why would he do that?
Okay.
There's no way he would be doing that.
Good deal.
He's not trying to manipulate anybody.
That's
He's
what I heard. I heard somebody was like, Solo's lying. It's like, come
no,
on.
you're an idiot. He's
Like,
not. He's not
stupid.
lying. Clearly, he's spoken. Why would he say he's spoken to Roman Reigns if he hasn't spoken to Roman Reigns? Why would he lie like that?
All right. Somebody that
I
wears
get
OJ
lying
gloves
other
can be
things.
trusted.
Yeah, I mean, I get if you're lying for like other things, but that you don't
Yeah.
lie about that.
Yeah. You lie about the other woman. You don't lie about talking to the tribal chief.
Yeah, so it has been established. So,
Yeah, this is good shit though. I am enjoying. They still feel like the B team, but it's a different flavor. This is more dirty and I don't know, grittier. The Roman bloodline was just like super athletes.
yeah.
Andrade had a vignette. Meh.
Reintroducing himself since he's now on SmackDown. Unfortunately for him, Zelina Vega has moved to Raw. So that pairing is seemingly not going to happen.
All right.
But also, probably in his favor, that his wife, Charlotte Flair, is on the same roster. So you don't want to be causing trouble there. It never made sense that.
Well, Dawkins
Like Charlotte's the whitest white, and he can't even speak English, and she's like the whitest white. Just didn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
Well, the females of my people tend to go for the darkest of the dark.
But he can't even speak English. Good.
That's it, but that's
like
a plus.
how's he pulling? What did he say to her?
All,
or is she doing all the talking?
all he needs to do is all he needs to say is zzz.
I remember before they started dating, Ric Flair was trying to get JJ Watt to date Charlotte. It's just funny.
No, he dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
Especially now that she has LA face.
Well, she was, she wasn't that yet.
Although she wasn't anything before that either.
But yeah, he's like, hey, JJ Watt. Like, okay. And then now she's with Andrade. So was she ever, I don't know, maybe she, I would say if she's, married to Andrade, she didn't necessarily like the JJ Watt.
Well, she was married to that Gunner guy.
Was she?
Yeah.
Golly.
He was British.
Well, you can, that doesn't count because there's an accent. That's a melter too. Accents.
Yeah, he was Jackson Riker.
Yeah.
I thought he was in WWE. Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was for a little bit. I believe that was his name too. In
there you
WWE.
go. Dawkins faced Tamatanga, and Ford and the Chick came out, and the Solo Cup is definitely back for good.
Yep, they've undone the change.
And Barrett
are just back to who they were.
Yep. Barrett called Tonga the Butcher of the Bloodline, which I thought was a cool fucking name. And Ford tries to hype Dawkins up by calling him the Tribal King with the Solo Cup in his hand. And finally, Tama's wrestling like his gimmick. He's wrestling like a fucking savage instead of just another WWE guy. And Solo interfered.
I thought
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I thought during the street fight he was wrestling like a savage too.
I don't.
I mean,
Maybe I just
there was that
there's.
one point where he had, because I forgot to point this out and I want to do it now.
Mhm.
There was that one point during the street fight where he had a kendo stick and Kevin Owens is on the ground and Kevin Owens like kicks him in the leg to try to fight him off. And remember, he had a kendo stick and he just drops the kendo stick and just starts pounding on him. It's like, all right, I don't need this.
That's fair. I don't know. It may have been distracted by the number of people and all the garbage in the ring.
Yeah.
But like when he started off, he was immediately on Dawkins. Referee separated him, and he did that thing where he ran behind the referee and then he just jumped back on Dawkins again. I think he did that twice. I don't know. Just seemed a little bit more intense. Solo interfered, and he gets socked by Dawkins. Then Ford does a forward roll to Loa and Solo from the top rope. Then Ford poses in front of the camera like he's going to be somebody someday.
He stuck the landing, so I would have posed too.
I would have thrown a D-cell battery at him if I was there. And Dawkins almost won with a sky high. Loa and Solo attack Ford, who's an idiot because he attacked two Samoans and just stood there with his back turned to him. Like he just did a forward roll. He didn't. What the fuck? So Solo spikes Ford. Tama hits a distracted Ford with a reverse STO. 1, 2, 3. And then Tama did change the gun stun. So good to know.
Yep, looks like he's now using pay dirt. Shout out Shelton Benjamin. And there was a good call out also from Barrett when he was talking about now there's a little bit of a history change here, but he said, he's building up Tonga and Loa, and he said they've never been in the WWE, and the reason, but Loa was apparently Camacho. But he's like, the reason they've never been in WWE because WWE is a traded company, and you have to, do media appearance, and you have to present yourself as a professional, and these guys don't want any of that. Like they're just here for chaos. So that was a good thing there. It's like they're loose cannons.
Well, after the match, Tama, Solo, and Loa are raising the ones with Heyman in the back. Solo quickly turns around to make sure Heyman is holding up his one. And then Solo spikes Dawkins and then stares at Heyman. And then they leave.
With the gloves on. He spiked it with the glove. No, I'm sorry.
No.
He took the glove off.
Yeah, he had one glove.
That's his thing now. He unsheathes the spike.
So why does he wear a glove on the other hand?
I don't know.
Okay. There was a Blair Davenport vignette. Did you watch it?
Unfortunately, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I should have, but I was a little pressed for time, so that was on the cutting block.
Gotcha. Have you haven't watched any of her stuff yet?
I have not.
Okay.
The only thing I remember, I've seen like one match from her, and it was when she was in AEW, so it was a long time ago.
Styles faced Orton. And there was an Asian man dressed as Randy Savage in the front row.
Was
Randy
he Asian?
I don't know. I'm assuming.
Oh.
He looked Asian. He didn't look white.
Well, he had so much on; it was hard to tell.
That's true. But yeah, okay. So there's a man dressed as Randy Savage in the front row. Randy Orton saw him and he looked at him and he said, "Shinsuke?" Which
That's
is why I
racist.
thought he was Asian. That kind of confirmed the Asian status for me.
Yeah.
So this is a solid match as you would expect. AJ had a cool spot where he jumped from the barricade to the announce desk to Orton to try to hit a phenomenal forearm. They did a story with Orton's leg. It was good. I actually thought Styles might actually pull it off. Especially, I was expecting interference from the Bloodline, but neither of those things happened. Orton won with an RKO, and nothing happened after that. And then I think I'm getting spoiled with all the after show shit. Because I was disappointed when it was just the graphic and fade to black.
Yeah, in both Raw and SmackDown, they kind of just like ran off of the air right after the match.
Which is okay. Because then you get to the point where I'm at right now where you just expect shit to happen. And it can't be a surprise if it happens every week.
That's true. So yeah, we got a good little tournament brewing. We have the makings of Dragunov versus Gunther on the Raw side.
Yeah, of course they would waste it.
Well, I mean, it's going to be that's going to be the semifinals.
Yeah, but they're going to waste it. It needs to be I think it needs to be a bigger venue.
When they go to Berlin.
Like if it was the King of the Ring final match, that would work. But just as a tournament match, I don't know. I think that's wasting Gunther and Ela. It's going to be a good match, though, either way.
I'm switching my pick for the finals on SmackDown. I said it was going to be Randy Orton.
Mm-hmm.
But after you said, you expected the Bloodline, there's going to be some Bloodline Randy Orton stuff happening.
Right.
So I think I'm going to switch my pick. And I think in the finals, in Saudi, I think we're going to see Gunther versus L.A. Knight. Yeah. I think that's going to happen.
Okay.
Still putting Gunther on the Raw side, obviously. And I think that actually might be a good moment for L.A. Knight. And it'll be a good moment for Gunther because L.A. Knight is so over. It's going to make Gunther, even more. It's going to get him more heat.
He just better win.
Yeah, he'll win.
We'll see. They don't seem to know what they're doing with him. They're ruining him.
But what if LA Knight wins and he goes to they have the chair and the scepter and the crown, and he goes up on the stage and he says, "Talk about your John 3:16." Well, this is LA Knight 3:16 or Knight 3:16. And it says, "I just whooped your ass." Yeah. And then he goes like straight Stone Cold.
Well, then they'll call him a Rock and Stone Cold copycat.
I know, that'd be something. I don't think it's gonna happen in any way. I'm just saying it'd be funny if it happened. Because they already say he's Stone Cold.
Well, that is all of our modern shit. So that leaves our Wrestling Rewind.
The retro review. There was also, just to mention, Uncle Howdy vignette thing. It happened on both shows.
I didn't see a vignette.
I haven't been mentioning it because, quite honestly, everything is like 10 feet above my head. So.
What?
Like, I don't understand any of it.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I haven't been mentioning. Like this set of puzzles are way too in depth.
Or maybe they're just nonsense trying to be clever.
I mean, they're clever. It's just I don't get what the hell's happening.
Well, I read somewhere that Nikki Cross is going to be a part of it.
Yeah, so the rumored names are Nikki Cross, Joe Gacy, which Nikki Cross doesn't even make sense. If it's not Alexa Bliss, like forget about it. Joe Gacy, um,
I thought
Eric
Bliss was
Rowan.
part of it too.
Not on the last set of names, no.
Oh.
So the woman is Nikki Cross. Oh, and Dexter Loomis too. Apparently he's rumored to be in it.
Well, I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah, it'll be something if that's the if that ends, if that's your end result. That'll be interesting, to say the least.
Just let him die. Come on. All
Yeah,
right.
it'll definitely be something to behold.
Let's talk about some good shit. A wrestling rewind.
Wrestling Rewind, we go to WCW Uncensored.
And it starts off with an awkward video package that tells us that Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko are facing each other. It's a no DQ US title match. Glacier makes his WCW pay-per-view debut facing Mortis, ditto, and they rekindle their rivalry in a martial arts match.
Why don't you go ahead and tell me the, or you want to wait until we get to the match
Yep.
to tell me the in-depth rules of a martial arts match and how it differs from a regular wrestling match?
I think we should save that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Psychosis is facing Ultimo Dragon. Scotty Riggs versus Buff Bagwell for the strap in a strap match. Public Enemy versus Harlem Heat in a tornado match, of course. Prince Iakea faces Rey Mysterio Jr. in a return match for the WCW TV title. And then we get Piper Team, which is Rowdy Piper, Jeff Jarrett, Steve Mongo McMichael, and Chris Benoit versus NWO Team. They didn't tell us at that time. Versus WCW Team, which is the Giant, Lex Luger, and the Steiner Brothers. And it's all uncensored. And we go to Charleston, South Carolina. And this is the third annual Uncensored. We have Dusty, Shivani, and Heenan all on commentary. And Tony reveals that if Piper Team wins, Piper gets a cage match with Hogan at some point. Dusty says the decks are stacked.
Happening.
Oh, pardon?
Oh, I just said I can see that happening. That seems likely.
Yeah. Dusty says that the decks are stacked against the NWO, and we need to expect the unexpected, if you will. And he wonders if the role Dennis Rodman is going to play is going to be a factor at all. And Tony reveals that if WCW Team wins, that NWO Team can't wrestle for 6 months. And we'll have to, I'm sorry, was it 3 years?
3 years they can't wrestle.
NWO Team can't wrestle for 3 years, and we'll have to give all of their titles back, even Hogan's. So we know the match outcome already.
Yes. Like, oh, gee. I wonder, like, that's what I was saying. Cage match, I could see that happening. NWO, your biggest draw, not being able to wrestle for 3 years, probably not going to happen.
Right. Especially Hogan losing the title. I could buy all of that if Hogan wasn't in that. Heenan says that Hogan and the NWO have their backs against the wall. Bischoff's been suspended by the president of WCW. And Dennis Rodman.
To me that there was a president.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Dennis Rodman being in the building is uncensored. And who knows what's going to happen. So the first match of the evening is Dean Malenko versus Eddie Guerrero in a no disqualification U.S. title match. And the match starts off with Eddie and Malenko using their newfound intensity on each other. Because Eddie's flirting with, well, I think Eddie's already a heel at this point, and Malenko's just flirting with being a bad guy or a tweener or something. Malenko's cheered heavily, and Eddie is booed heavily. I'm not sure if the fans hate Eddie or just hate how Eddie's now a heel. Like, they've turned on him. And before the match gets really going, we have a commotion in the back. The camera takes us to a car area where Nash, Hall, and Master Six are kneeling next to someone. Master Six is holding a camera. A broken pool cue or a broken kendo stick or something is next to a man's head. Nash and Master Six yell for medical help. Hall says, "These Steiners are having bad luck lately." And we're left wondering whether or not that was Rick Steiner, because the cameraman that rushed to the scene sucks at his job and didn't even try to identify who it was. Later, it's confirmed that it was Rick Steiner by someone who wasn't on site at the time.
It was confirmed on commentary.
Yeah. Good thing they went to the back with the camera to let us know on commentary who it was.
Well, he was out.
You could have walked around. The guy even moved around the guy. He filmed the kendo stick. He got a close-up on the kendo stick.
That's true.
Back to the match. Malenko tosses Eddie out of the ring, then grabs the U.S. title belt and beats Guerrero with it. Eddie hit Malenko with a rock bottom. And he started targeting Malenko's knee. Then they cut to the back again at some point. Rick is being loaded onto a gurney while the NWO team is still standing there. And we're back to the match. Eddie's kicking Dean's ass outside the ring. Eddie gets Malenko in a figure four. Eddie screams, "I'm going to break your leg if I have to." They fight out of the ring again. Eddie gets fucked up diving on and getting thrown on top of the guardrail. It's the old guardrails that would actually cause pain instead of looking like a pillow. Eddie takes his singlets off, which, did that inspire Kurt Angle, do you think?
No, couldn't be.
I don't know. Eddie hits a powerbomb for two, and it was the first real big move, and it was huge when Dean kicked out. And both men do a sequence where they end up kicking each other in the balls. Malenko hits Eddie with a frog splash. Then he... Okay. Eddie... Malenko gets on the top rope, hits Eddie with a frog splash. He pops his head up with this big fucking grin on his face. Just, all smiles. He almost looks like a lizard.
Yeah, he was so proud of himself.
Yeah, the ref starts counting. But just before the ref counts to three, Dean pulls Eddie up and he makes this ooh, face. And I rewound and watched this part like at least 50 times. And I was laughing and dying each and every time. It was fucking hilarious. I tried to get a good, that was going to be the thumbnail, but I couldn't get a good picture of it. The ref is pissed off at Dean for this. And Dean's like, "Hey, it's no disqualification match. I do what I want." Dean goes for a powerbomb, but Eddie counters with a gorgeous head scissor takedown. And then both men trade pins. Malenko hits a huge German suplex. Eddie hits a tornado DDT, then locks Malenko in a Texas cloverleaf. Then fucking Master Six comes out with his goddamn camcorder. He takes the U.S. title and spits on Eddie, who is forced to let go of the cloverleaf. Master Six then tries to nail or throw the camcorder. Either way, it goes over Eddie's head and into the ring. Eddie manages to get the belt away from Master Six. He turns around, swings wildly like a madman in Dean's direction. Dean ducks the wild swing, and then nails Eddie in the face with the camcorder. 1, 2, 3. After the match, Malenko picks up the camcorder and is confused by its presence. Then he gives it to Eddie.
Yeah, that was a
Like,
little weird.
Yeah.
Like, you just hit him with it. How do
Right.
you not know what it was? Like, he was so confused. What? I think at even one point he was like, "Where did this come from?"
Yeah.
Like, you just hit him with it. You know where it came from.
This was a great match. It was just ruined by the dumb fuck finish. No one's affiliated with the main event or the NWO, so I don't know why Six has to keep poking around with this shit. Like, he didn't do anything with the TV title match. So it can't be that he wants to steal all the titles.
True. I thought it, I mean, yes, obviously it was a good match. I did think it went kind of long. And if you see the story that happened within the match, then it absolutely went long. The fact that, number one, Rick Steiner got attacked. Number two, an ambulance showed up to take him out of the building while the match is still going on. And then Six also then has time to come out to ringside. So,
Yeah.
like, there was a whole thing that happened during this match.
I think the Rick Steiner thing being interjected kind of took away from it a little bit. Six definitely took away from it. I think that was the only reason it was a no DQ, is so he could be involved at the end and nothing else, because there's no DQ spots aside from a little deal with the belt from Malenko.
Right.
Which was fine. I was fine with that. I like the fact that it's the idea of a no disqualification match just being a regular match. Just, you don't follow the rules, but you don't necessarily have to get a chair every time or a table.
Right. Yeah.
You're just not worried about countouts and shit.
Yeah. You get to settle it. But yeah, it was definitely a good match. There was a moment, just like a little detail, but Eddie's working on the leg, and then there was that moment where Dean Malenko, he's outside the ring and he like has to shake off the leg injury. I was like, man, that's good detail in in selling.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that nowadays. Now they just no sell everything.
I don't know, the way Randy sold his knee.
Well, some of them will do it. Although there's going to be a moment where it completely got no sold.
Fair enough. I just like when Randy pulled his knee pad down after AJ was working on it for so long.
Yeah.
And he just, I don't know. That was good shit. But we're back in the locker room in 97 WCW with Mean Gene Okerlund. And before Gene can get concerned about Rick Steiner being assaulted in the back and rushed away in an ambulance, he has to shill the WCW hotline first.
Of course. Got to get that out.
Yeah, got to shill that WCW hotline.
$1.99 a minute. A minute. Dang, those paper call things were expensive.
They were, weren't they?
Yeah. Freaking minute.
And can you imagine paying premium for the WCW hotline? Not even some girl talking sweet to you. It's just, oh, well, Bret Hart's going to do this.
Oh, they always, like I said, he always teased it good.
Mm.
Oh, there's a WCW, someone from WCW is out. Find out on the hotline.
I didn't think that was a tease.
Well, like, you got to find out who it was.
Somebody's gone. Call us. Find out who. Why don't you just tell me?
No, got to get you that $1.99 a minute.
at least the last one, there was somebody having lunch with the NWO. Who was it? This one's some guy left. If you want to know who it was, pay me.
Yeah, you gotta find out who it was.
So then Mean Gene switches to the main event, where we finally learn that NWO team is being represented by Hogan, the Outsiders, and Master Six. And Mean Gene finally briefly mentions, he did say Master Six. I'm not fucking that up. Gene briefly mentions Rick Steiner being taken out of commission before he brings Rowdy Roddy Piper in to say some shit. And Piper's miffed that he has to fight a whole bunch of guys just to get to Hogan in a cage. Piper says he doesn't ultimately need to do this main event to get Hogan in a cage, but he's doing it because he lives and eats metal and even has it in his hip. And Piper says Dennis Rodman wants to try Piper's kilt on. The only problem is he wants Piper in it.
Oh, that Piper.
Piper says that the Horsemen are supposed to be on his team, but Flair and Anderson are nowhere to be seen. And Piper asks if the Horsemen ride mares or studs. And Piper says something about cloning Rodman and Hogan. Then Jarrett, Benoit, Mongo, and Deborah come in. Jarrett makes sure to look directly into the camera, do his little peace sign thing, then twirl in Piper's direction. It's quite remarkable. I had to rewind that a couple times. Like, what the fuck? That was the most unnatural movement. Piper says a bunch of shit, then says Gene told Piper he couldn't trust the Horsemen. Gene says, I just said that there was some dissension. I never said that I don't trust them. Jarrett says, you don't go wrestling up no more trouble, Mean Gene. 4 Horsemen are backing up Rowdy Roddy. We ain't marked men, Rowdy Roddy. It's Hogan, Hall, Nash. Those are the marked men. Jarrett promises to work as a unit and work with Piper. Then Mongo talks shit to Luger, says he's coming after Hall and Nash for spray painting NWO on his back. Then Mongo, he's going to show Rodman a basketball player who the real icon of Chicago is. You got that basketball player? Piper then tells Benoit he needs some razzmatazz from him. Benoit says Piper is an icon because he makes good decisions. Now Piper loves the Horsemen. And then Jarrett does a routine with Piper where he shows him how to hold up the 4 fingers, and Piper almost messes up and holds up just 1 finger. Piper says, when you have all the answers, we change the questions. Have a nice day. Then he flaps his kilt. And then Gene mentions to Deborah that he would have talked to her, but she's not that important, I'm afraid. And Shivani wisely says, well, we don't need to talk to her. We just need to look at her from time to time.
Sure did.
And Shivani could have retired at that moment.
There was a little line from Piper when he's talking about the Horsemen. I forgot what he said about Chris Benoit. He said something about wine. But then he said, and then you got Deborah who's dating this guy, but she's married to him.
Yeah, he ran them all down.
But yeah, he's like, she's dating him, but married to you. It's like, oh, you're just like outing Big Michael as a cuck. You just cucked him.
They basically called them all fags. So you guys ride mares or studs? Psychosis and Ultimo Dragon faced each other, and this was really good. For some reason, both men wearing masks in this match just made it more special for me. I liked that Psychosis didn't know what the fuck to do after Dragon did a handstand on the turnbuckle. Tenay mentioned that Psychosis trained with Mysterio in Tijuana, Dusty's like, oh, I'll train in Tijuana too. Psychosis did a guillotine leg drop from the ring to the floor, and it looked like it sucked.
Both his leg drops looked like they sucked.
Yeah. And Dragon did a acai moonsault on the outside. And when Psychosis goes back to the ring, Sonny Ono did some karate shit while the ref, Mark Curtis, is tending to the Dragon. Mark Curtis comes out. He asks Ono what the hell happened. Ono says Psychosis slipped, he thinks. Even though he just karate'd the shit out of him. Curtis tells Ono to stand somewhere else. And then Curtis walks away. And Ono turns to the camera laughing and says, Sonny had to help Dragon real bit. Psychosis gets back in the ring and gets hit with another moonsault by Dragon, but it surprisingly gets a 2 count. Psychosis countered a Hurricane Rana with a sunset flip for 2. I thought that was a cool ass move. Then they do a reverse suplex spot off the top rope, and both men got all of it. Dragon ends up winning after hitting a running powerbomb, an ugly-ass tornado DDT from the top rope, and a tiger suplex. Ono gives Psychosis one last kick and says to the camera, if Master 6 is the champion, they want him. They need a challenger for Dragon now. That'll be interesting.
Yes. Now, I think that that was supposed to be a Hurricane Runner spot, and it didn't work out, so he changed it to that DDT.
I thought it was an arm drag.
Well, I remember he used to do that spinning Hurricane Runner from the top rope.
Yeah. Oh, he already did that, though, didn't he?
No. He went for it, but he didn't get it.
Okay. Is that where he was on his... Okay, yeah, you're right. That makes more sense. Well, Mean Gene's back in the back. And after talking about the stupid hotline again, he talks to DDP. Oh, and then Gene talks about Macho Man, who doesn't seem to respect Diamond Dallas Page. And DDP says that people know his name. No, he says the people know my name. And Gene says DDP, damn it. Gene asked DDP if he's subbing for Steiner in the main event. DDP asked Macho Man, who's not there, if he can hear the crowd chanting his name. And then DDP says he's here because Savage won't acknowledge his previous challenges. So he challenges Savage again. And he also has the camera back up so he can get in close again while he does his little diamond cutter gesture. And it's worth noting that DDP is wearing one of his better shirts. And before the segment ends, Macho Man interrupts with Miss Elizabeth. Brother. Savage
brother.
Savage apologizes for misjudging DDP. Page is the man. RESPECT. Then Savage said he was at the airport looking at nudie magazines and saw one of his old girlfriends, Pamela Anderson, on it. Then he does a callback to when he was on Baywatch.
Was that a true thing?
Yeah,
was he on Baywatch?
He was on Baywatch with Hogan, and Ric Flair and Vader invaded the beach as bad guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I fact checked. I don't know this off the top of my head.
Okay.
Macho says Cindy Crawford and Jenny McCarthy are in the magazine as well. And DDP points at Savage and says, "Don't you go there, bro." Because that's what dudes do. They say bro when they're pissed. Savage says, "Your wife is a centerfold, brother." Elizabeth holds up a centerfold. NWO paint is covering up the good bits. And it looks like DDP was also in the photos too. Savage calls DDP the man. Paige calls Savage a son of a bitch. Kimberly comes out crying. She's all covered up in NWO spray paint. DDP goes to console Kimberly. Then he gets blindsided by Savage. And man, Savage moved with the quickness because he was like on this platform standing.
Yes.
Then he was on Page like as soon as he turned around.
McIntyre needs to take some lessons
No shit.
because he covered that distance so fast.
Savage rips off Page's shirt and makes Kimberly watch. Elizabeth comes trotting with a black spray paint can. DDP gets NWO tagged onto his back while Savage calls him the man. Savage says he's going to pile drive DDP, and then I'm going to pile drive you.
Yeah, that was the funniest part. Get up so I can pile drive you.
Kimberly dives onto her unconscious husband, sobbing and saying no. Savage looks around like he's trying to find something to pummel the two of them with, and he settles on painting Kimberly's back again. And Mean Gene pleads with Elizabeth to make Savage stop. Surprisingly, she tells Savage to stop so she can do it. And everybody stops, like, whoa. And then Savage holds Kimberly's head down while the once innocent, pure, and kind Miss Elizabeth paints NWO on Kimberly's back. Well, she tried to, because she must have sucked at it, because she immediately gave the can back to Savage, who spent extra time finishing the job.
Yeah, she did one letter.
Okay. Elizabeth then tells Kimberly she should be thrilled and that the NWO loves her, which implies that the entire NWO has that that magazine on a table while they stand in a circle and just jerk off to it.
Give it some tributes.
Yes. Savage says DDP's the man and he likes him. NWO for life. Savage says Kimberly likes him too. And we're left with Kimberly sobbing over a still unconscious Page.
Entertaining segment. And that was the first time they actually acknowledged Kimberly and DDP being married.
Yeah, it was.
And so, yeah, so I watched like when Savage passed away, unfortunately. DDP, he did a video, it's on YouTube, where he like recalls this specific feud with Macho Man. So he said, that was the one thing he told when they were going over like the promo stuff. He's like, look, just don't mention this. And then that was obviously the first thing he did when he went out there. So that's why he's like, you son of a bitch. Because yeah, he told him, let's just leave that out, please. But yeah, he went right for it.
Yeah, it was good stuff. I do remember he said that Savage decided to let Page go over. Like, I think I'm going to take the diamond cutter tonight. And they're like, Page, do you understand what that means? What an honor that is?
Like, you don't get it?
I hope we get to see Page and Savage, though. Oh, yeah, we do. That's the next pay-per-view. Good deal. So Mortis faced Glacier in the martial arts match.
All right. So, yeah, go ahead and lay out the rules of the martial arts match and how it differs from a regular match.
Well, this one starts off with fancy costumes that don't age well.
I don't know what the hell Glacier was wearing. He looked like a dollar store Sub-Zero.
Yeah. I thought Mortis had a really cool look.
He did. And they were like, is he alive?
Yeah.
And it's like, he's don't you see him walking?
I think, yeah, Glacier, the plastic samurai helmet he had, and he was clearly not. And when he talked, he was, "Oh, you get over here now! God, good golly, kick your ass all the way to Mayberry with my spin kick."
He
And
did have a good
Mortis,
spin kick, though.
he did. It was really slow though, and like rehearsed looking. Mortis wrestled like an old school heel instead of an otherworldly being looking to vanquish an ancient foe. Is my only criticism. I did like how Glacier used karate kicks to set up wrestling moves. It's very unique. And Glacier chased James Mitchell around the ring, and Mortis hit Glacier with the nastiest of baseball slide I've ever seen. And Mortis did a buckshot lariat. Glacier kept going for a top rope chop and failing. And then he went for a super kick on Mortis, but Mortis used the ref as a shield, and Mortis hit Glacier with a super kick instead. Mortis then tells James Mitchell to hold Glacier so he can super kick him again. Glacier manages to duck out of the way. Mortis barely stops from hitting Mitchell. Glacier uses the distraction to nail Mortis with a super kick 1, 2, 3. And then Glacier yells at Mitchell after the match, and Mortis beats Glacier up with his stick. And then Mitchell calls for another man to come out, and this big-ass guy in a mask comes out, shoves the ref to the side, takes off the mask, and it's Adam Bomb from the WWF. And Glacier gets his ass kicked by Adam Bomb and Mortis. Adam Bomb hits Glacier with a rock bottom. Cool.
I will say, now, if memory serves me correctly, Mortis turns into Canyon, right?
Yeah.
And wasn't his gimmick that he was the innovator of offense, or was
Yes.
that RVD?
No, it was
Okay.
Canyon was the innovator of offense.
Well, how accurate is that? This guy clearly has a deep arsenal.
Oh, yeah. He was very good.
Maybe the deepest arsenal in in WCW. So yeah, he did the buckshot lariat. He did a famouser, which would
I
go
missed
on
the
to be.
famouser.
Yeah, he did a famouser, and they went crazy. I've never seen that before.
I remember this clearly because when Glacier debuted, I was a fan. But then when Mortis debuted, I immediately became like Glacier who. Wrath, yeah. But I enjoyed this for Mortis. I thought taking the mask off of him kind of ruined it because he was like, "Oh no, I'm really Kenny Canyon." Okay.
I don't
But
know.
yeah.
His moveset was he
Yeah,
was
he's
the
phenomenal.
innovator of offense.
He was very, very good. Well, then they play a video of how the NWO and Steiners are feuding. It's a black and white video, and we see one car following another. Then the car in pursuit rear ends the other car. Scott Steiner sticks his head out, and everyone's yelling. Rick is sticking his head out of the window and flailing his hat about. Then the Steiners drive into a hill and flip their car over. The NWO stop laughing immediately.
It got serious.
Yeah, so they're following, they're laughing. Oh, hey, Rick and Scott, and they rear end them. Steiners are yelling, sticking their hands out. Oh, we'll get you, NWO guys. I think they even sideswiped them once. And then they flip the car over and it just stops. And then they tell Dumbfuck 6 to stop recording 2 or 3 times. He didn't. And then the NWO just decided to leave and not help the Steiners. And after Shivani says after that the Steiners, they could have pressed charges, but they wanted to settle it in the ring instead. Like
It's
men.
nice of them. So nice of them because,
That's how it started,
yeah, they could have gotten in some real trouble there if they wanted to report that.
Buff Bagwell faced Scotty Riggs in the strap match, and Buff comes out saying he doesn't care if he wins. He just wants to beat on Riggs. And Riggs comes out with his American Males theme still and the strap. He takes off his jacket and then runs to the ring. And Bagwell bags. God damn it. Bagwell bails to the outside, questioning if the strap Riggs is holding is regulation. And then Riggs whips Bagwell with the strap before the ref can lock him in it. And finally, they're tied together, and Bagwell gets an early advantage. And they basically just whip the shit out of each other with the strap. Of course, Bagwell gets crotched. Then he stops the match to say how much he loves himself into the camera. Then he makes Riggs do the American Males clap. And then he gets kicked in the dick. And Buff inexplicably goes for a cover. Then he gets mad at the referee, Randy Anderson, for not counting the pin. Then they do the deal where Buff pushes him, and then he gets backed in the corner like a bitch. Riggs gets backdropped out of the ring.
Whoa, hold on.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
There's a very important spot there. When the ref was backing him down, he was yelling, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And then he looks at the camera and says, "I'm not sorry." But yeah, he got bitched, and then he was like, "I'm not sorry."
Okay. Well, Riggs ended up getting backdropped out of the ring, and his neck gets wrapped up in the strap. And Bagwell starts to hang Riggs until he stops moving. Then Bagwell drags the unconscious Riggs into the middle of the ring and touches all four corners for the win. I thought it was a good match. This one went a little long for me. The finish was good. I thought the whole talking in the camera shit from Bagwell got old.
I like that part of it.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then
Clearly.
he kept stopping and posing. That's his character. He's so into himself. Even so, when he said, "I don't know if it's possible for anybody," or what did he say? "I don't know. It's not possible for someone to love myself more than me.
I love myself," or something.
Yeah. So yeah, that was his little gimmick.
Oh, good for him. He won.
Finally.
The NWO team's in the back. And Hogan, Hall, Nash, and Savage are there. Hall, Nash, and Hogan put over Rodman. Savage is thumbing intently through the magazine Kimberly's in. Hogan brings Kimberly up. Savage grins like a child. Says he has another notch in his belt because that's what they're there for. Hogan then says Nash is going to get in there, or Nash was going to get in there, but Hogan had to explain that they're all the same size laying down. Hall says, "You didn't just say that." Hogan says, "I did, and when the NWO gets done tonight at Uncensored, everyone's going to be laying down." Hall guarantees victory. Nash says that they're as bad as they want to be with Rodman to sweet. Or was it Rodme? Rodme.
I don't know.
I don't know. He said some fucking stupid. He's trying to be cool, but he's like really corny. He seems drunk too. Hall tells his mom to look at him now. Nash says he ain't mad at WCW or Piper's crew. Hogan says they're just going to beat him up. Savage says, "Get over it." Hogan says he has a surprise. Apparently, Hogan initiated Rodman into the NWO, but ended up learning a few things from Rodman instead, like butt stuff. And Hogan's dying to show those new things to the rest of the NWO. Savage is so excited about it, he drops the magazine. And then Hall, this went on a while. Hall says that they've seen Paige's wife with her skirt off, and that Fruitcake Piper will be wearing a skirt as well. But what's Rodman going to be wearing? Hogan says that he's going to make us wait, because when Rodman comes out, it all stops there. So Rodman's going to be wearing something pretty exciting. What do you think he's going to be wearing, Tyson?
I don't know, but they were teasing that it could be a dress or it could be I don't know, something that
An Iron Man suit? It could be fucking anything. It's going to be awesome, though. It is going to be awesome, and it's going to stop the match because of its awesomeness. That's what Hogan just promised us right there.
Well, you know, it's Dennis Rodman. You never know what he's going to wear.
There you go. Savage asks if it's going to be a miracle bra. Hogan just says no. Savage says, woo! And Hogan says Kimberly doesn't need one of those either. Hall implies Kimberly's tits are fake. Nash says no matter what happens, they're winning tonight, and they're going to be NWO for life. NWO leave. Savage makes sure to take his magazine with him.
I forgot my magazine.
God damn it. That was awful.
Yeah, it wasn't their best stuff.
I think this is one of the worst attributes with WCW. I think they allow the top talent to improvise or go off the cuff, but they don't ever fucking say shit. They just ramble.
Yeah, just go out there for 5 minutes and cut a segment. All right,
Yeah.
gotcha.
All right. DDP's wife doesn't have a skirt. Savage's belt has notches in it. Rodman's wearing a dress. Let's mumble, mumble, mumble.
It was a little low to me, like volume wise. It's like he was just, especially the Hogan parts, it was like he was just talking. He wasn't like doing an animated promo. He was just like having a conversation.
Well, that's what they were trying to do. And it was just, I don't know. They were trying to do some inside shit and trying to be too clever. It's just awful.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to have to turn the captions on. I can't hear shit.
I mean, say what you want about the WWF or E, but when they improvise, at least they have a thread of narration that they go by.
Yeah.
All right. Harlem Heat face Public Enemy. Tornado tag match. Of course, these lazy, uninteresting fucks need to wrestle in a tornado match. And I hoped at the time that Booker and Stevie Ray just beat the piss out of Rocco Rock for wearing the goddamn do-rag. I was into it when the Heat started the match, just whooping the shit out of these dumpy, pasty fucks. And then Heat had to start selling. Sherry got involved and thankfully punched Rocco right in the dick. And she choked him too, and looked like she was possessed by the devil doing it. She choked him with like microphone cords or shit. She was all over the place. She's what Mae Young tried to be at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Sherry goes to get Rocco with a trash can. Rocco ducks. She hits Stevie right in the face. Stevie doesn't miss a beat. Continues like nothing happened. Even shrugs Sherry off. Later, Stevie holds Rocco again so Sherry can whoop on him. And it was off. It was marvelous. It's just like a little moment. And then later on in the match, Sherry gets Stevie with the trash can again. And Johnny Grunge sandwiches Sherry with... Sherry gets Stevie with the trash can again. And Johnny Grunge sandwiches Sherry on the guardrail and puts Stevie through a table with Rocco. So that wasn't marvelous. And Jared and Mongo came out all of a sudden. Mongo hits Rocco with the Halliburton attaché case. Booker hits the Harlem Hangover 1, 2, 3. After the match, Stevie, being a gentleman, goes to help Sherry. And Stevie and Booker almost whooped the fuck out of the nerdiest fan I've ever seen. I wish one of them would have slapped him.
Well, I thought this was a pretty fun match. Dusty was like out of control during this match. He's got a commode. He's got a commode. And then, yeah, he just like lost his shit when I think it was Stevie got hit with a trash can. He lost his shit. It reminds me of me and my brother. Like, what? Why does that remind you of you and your brother? But I think he amplified the craziness of this match. Like, he was just overreacting to everything. But aside from that, you know, it was a Public Enemy match. So we can't go too far with it.
Well, I found this match really fucking offensive. Harlem Heat had to demean themselves by wrestling Public Enemy in this garbage match because these fucking untalented, useless fucks can't do anything else. I used to lump the Nasty Boys in with them, but I've been insulting the Nasty Boys for like 20 plus years. They know how to wrestle. They know how to tell a story. They just get lumped in the street fight matches. These two useless wastes of sperm can only have a wrestling match if there's a table or a garbage can or something that's going to divert the audience's attention away from their totally fucking useless wrestling. It took Harlem Heat longer than 5 minutes to beat these fuckers. That's offensive. Look at Booker, look at Stevie, look at Public Enemy. Enough fucking said. And why the fuck does Harlem Heat need the 4 fucking horsemen to beat Public Enemy?
I don't know. They seem to be protected for some reason.
I don't get
Enemy,
it.
that is. And they keep winning for some reason. Like
I don't get that either.
Like they won that last match with the Barbarian
Faces of Fear and Harlem Heat. They have a win over Harlem Heat. Think about that.
Yeah.
These 2 fucking garbage men have a win over Harlem Heat. Come on. Stupid. Aside from that, it was a good match.
Yeah, I thought it was entertaining, especially Dusty's like overreacting to everything.
I liked Sherry. Sherry made the match for me. Aside from that, I wanted to throw a brick at my TV. Because I'm like, oh, look at... like, Johnny Grunge, this fat fucking piece of shit, is like wailing on Stevie, who's, you know, a whole foot taller than him and in shape and muscular and looks like he's killed a man in real life.
Fair enough.
Like Stephen Ray, whatever his real last name is, has taken a real man's life. Not Stevie Ray, the Harlem Heat guy. And then you got Johnny Grunge. Well, you want fries with that?
It definitely shouldn't be wrestling.
And Rocco Rock, don't get me started.
Is that the blonde one?
No, Johnny Grunge is the blonde. Rocco Rock's the one with the do-rag.
Okay. Enough said.
Yep. So Mean Gene's in the back again. WCW team wins. They get all the belts. NWO team wins. They get a free reign on WCW TV programming or something.
They get a title shot at any point of their choosing.
Yeah.
Which they already have the world title, so, and Six has the cruiserweight title, so, you know, not much more they can.
They have the tag titles too.
Yeah, so not much more they can really take, but that's their stipulation.
All right. Scott Steiner, Luger, and Giant enter, and Gene wants to know about Rick. Scott says that that was Rick's first ambulance ride, and he didn't like it one bit. Steiner didn't need any more incentives for this match, but he got them anyway. Piper team better stay out of his way. Oakland wants to know what Giant is thinking as a former NWO team member. Giant says it's time for Giant to do a little spring cleaning. Giant vows to clean up WCW. And he says he's gotten to know Rick, who's a hard-headed, hard-bodied man. Didn't sound quite right. A man that can get hit by a Mack truck and still chew the tires off, even though a pull cue clearly took him out and sent him away in an ambulance. Giant says Rick is a mean four-legged dog that was taken out in an ambulance. See? Now you've got Rick Steiner, his brother, his blood, his best friend. We're going to be so dizzy from watching all the suplexing going on. And when I get in the ring, I'm going to choke slam left and right. And the total package, well, he can speak for himself. He's got it all. It's time to do some racking. It's time to do some choke slamming. It's time to do some suplexing. Oakland says it's just the three of you versus 8 men. He said that to Luger. Luger says, this isn't just a wrestling match. This is about society. NWO team has been plaguing the WCW with their anti-establishment bullshit. It disgraces the legends and titles that make up our great sport. Rick Steiner is with us in spirit. The adversity makes the bond greater. We can talk all we want. Now it's time for action. And action is what's going to happen. Mean Gene says he's concerned about WCW's chances with the stoniest face in the world.
Or they're down a man.
Yeah, but he could have at least looked concerned. I really am concerned about their chances. Rey Mysterio Jr. faced Prince Iaukea for the WCW TV title. And we find out that it's a 15-minute time limit from the normal 10 minutes that TV title matches have. It's kind of interesting that the TV title is being defended on the pay-per-view as well.
Yep, just like last time.
And this was a solid match, just seemed kind of uneventful, though. At one point, the fans sounded like they were chanting boring. At another point, Rey and Iaukea scissor. And then the time expired with no suspense whatsoever, and everyone was pissed. Then Rey grabbed the microphone, says, hey, I'm a challenge to you. I think I deserve more time. Iaukea thinks for a second. He says, you know what? You're right. You deserve more time. This is uncensored. There has to be a winner. Bell rings with everybody wondering how much extra time there is. Both men get another boring chant in overtime. Iaukea wins out of nowhere, countering Rey's Hurricane Rana with the sunset flip. So he used Psychosis's move.
This was a hard match to get through.
It was, man. The first one was so good, though.
It was. I don't know what it was about this match. It just was hard to get through.
Yeah. Well, they did a Spring Stampede ad. And 4 horsemen are dressed up like cowboys. And Flair's part was really badly dubbed.
Was he even there, or was that the CGI stuff?
Well, I don't think they had CGI. Or at least not good CGI.
Well, I mean, I think it was starting around that time. They had, like, you know, those movies that clearly had. Well, no, you're right, because they used to use animatronics.
No, I think they were all talking, and then Flair came up and said, I spent $1,500 and been disrespected. And they had to dub over it. Well, Mike Buffer does the announcing, and he says how important the match is to wrestling's present and future landscape. And Buffer then goes over the rules and stipulations. Did you write them down?
I didn't, but
Okay.
the first round, it's 5 minutes. and then 2 minutes, 2 minutes, and then the final round is no limit, whatever that means.
The fans seem to be pro WCW and Piper, not so much NWO. And Piper team, Buffer fucked up and called them Team Piper like an idiot. Who would think to call it Team Piper? It's Piper team versus NWO team versus WCW team. And Benoit, Hall, and Giant start off. I guess it's like war games with elimination rules or something. I didn't really listen to Buffer when he went over them.
Oh, you get eliminated. He kept saying last man standing wins. Last man standing, like singular. But then he said you get eliminated when you're thrown over the top, pinfall, or submission.
Okay.
So those are your outs.
Well, Benoit and Hall start off hot while Giant slowly walks to the ring. Giant finally gets to the ring and he lays out Benoit and Hall, so there's going to be no alliances. This is war. Giant whoops the fuck out of Benoit and Hall for almost 5 minutes straight. Giant hits Benoit with a choke slam. Hall breaks up the pin like a dumbass. And Giant gets eliminated diving over the top rope because that's a rule.
It sure is.
Jarrett comes out next for Piper team. Savage comes out for NWO team. Luger comes out for WCW team. I would have tried to wait maybe to the next round if I could have, since they were down a member. That was just me. Mongo comes storming out for Piper team. He tells the cameraman to move. And Nash comes out for NWO team. Steiner, of course, comes out for WCW team. And Steiner runs to the ring. He immediately goes after Chris Benoit. And Steiner does a tilt-a-whirl slam to Jarrett. And Hall kicks Steiner from behind to initiate combat. So, to clarify, Steiner, who just saw his brother taken out by the NWO, immediately goes after Chris Benoit and Jeff Jarrett. And the NWO had to initiate combat with him.
Yep. He's focused on winning.
Hall tried to get Jarrett with the Razor's Edge twice and failed. And Jarrett ended up getting dumped over the top rope by Nash. And Mongo's dumped over the top rope by Hall. Piper comes out for WCW team. And Steiner got eliminated. And Buffer announced that he announces Piper's name for the second time. And out comes Dennis Rodman and Hollywood Hogan. Now remember, Hall said that we've seen Paige's wife with her skirt off. And that Fruitcake Piper will be wearing a skirt to the match. What's Dennis Rodman going to be wearing? And Hogan said he's going to make us wait because when Rodman comes out, it all stops there. So Rodman comes out and he's wearing a leather jacket with a large fuzzy bucket hat that says Hollywood. There's absolutely nothing unique about this appearance.
Yeah, they overhyped it. But he had the hat. The hat was there.
Everyone fights while Hogan poses with Rodman on the ring floor with the belt. Piper and Hogan finally get their hands on each other. Hogan tries to run through the crowd. Piper ends up biting his face. Hogan throws Piper over the top rope as Rodman was holding the rope down. Piper goes after Rodman, but the whole mess of security guards standing around just hold him back. And Hogan and Piper start fighting again. Benoit gets razor's edged, and I have no idea who's still in this fucking match at this point. Benoit ends up going over the top rope. I guess everyone in the NWO is against Luger now. Piper's still trying to get his hands on Rodman. Hogan pulls Rodman to the apron so he can pose with the NWO guys who aren't stomping on Luger. And then the NWO huddle. They break by doing the NWO finger kiss thing. Nash goes to powerbomb Luger, but Luger dumps Nash on his ass. Luger takes out Hogan with a clothesline, decks Hall with a clothesline, Savage is the next one to eat a clothesline. Hogan gets a second one for good measure. So does Hall. And Luger gets Savage in a torture rack. So Savage is eliminated immediately. And then Luger dumps Nash over the top rope. Luger gets Hall in a torture rack. So Hall's eliminated. And no one even tries to fight out of the rack. It's like the most protected finishing move ever.
It sure is. Once you get in that rack, you're done.
Yeah, you're done immediately. And now it's Luger and Hogan. Luger starts beating the fuck out of Hogan, and then he gets Hogan in the rack, but Nash is trying to get in the ring, so the ref is distracted. Rodman hands Savage a can of spray paint. They do the handoff by pretending to hug. And they did a prison hug. Fucking Savage. Savage spray paints Luger in the face while he's trolling Hogan in the rack for some reason. And then the spray in Luger's eyes was so intense, Hogan falls on him 1, 2, 3. And then Rodman paintbrushes Luger in the face with fake slaps. And I think Luger gets spray painted again.
Yes.
NWO do the hand kiss thing and walk off. Shivani, Heenan, and Dusty, they start to sign us off. But then from the rafters, carrying his trusty baseball bat, drops Sting. Sting gets the biggest pop of the night. Hall and Nash go after Sting and get their asses kicked because Sting has a fucking baseball bat. Savage gets it too. And then Sting picks up Savage, whispers something, and nails Savage with the Scorpion Death Drop. Then he grabs Hall and Nash and does the same to them. Sting then grabs his bat. Hogan's making mean faces in the entrance ramp while Robin rubs his shoulders. Then Sting slowly turns and he points at Hogan. Hogan's scared now, but Robin gets him to focus and put his mean face back on. Hogan screams at Sting to put the bat down, so Sting does. Then Hogan schemes with Rodman. Then they get to the ring. And Sting turns his back on Hogan specifically and signals, "What are you waiting for?" Hogan gets in the ring, tries to clock Sting. Sting blocks it, and it's all over for Hogan. Hogan gets the Scorpion Death Drop, and we have to say goodnight. So much shit to get to that awesome moment.
Yes. Now, here comes the question. Why wouldn't Sting be the fourth member of Team WCW if he was going to help them anyway?
He didn't help him.
He did help him.
No, he didn't.
I mean, he attacked the NWO. Well, okay. But, him and Luger have that history.
Luger's
much
the
help in
reason why
Luger.
he's Sting right now. Luger not trusting Sting and automatically assuming that Sting was Team NWO is the reason why Sting is in exile right now.
Right, but I saw it as him helping Luger.
No, I saw it as him attacking the NWO because Luger was already defeated. He was already violated. He was already attacked.
Well, he's coming from the top of the rafters. You get there when he gets there.
What is he, Drew McIntyre?
Yeah.
All right. No, I think Sting was coming back to reclaim his dominance.
Well, he did. And prior to that, Luger took out the whole NWO himself too.
He did.
Almost. Sans one foe, but he did a pretty good job. It was a little bit crazy that WCW has that thing in them where one person will take out an
entire army.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's
well, that made sense. I mean, it looked like Luger was down. He had one last bit of strength. He got everybody by surprise. He just started racking people real quick. And I guess it's a quick enough finisher that
Yeah, they weren't. They couldn't even have time to help because they were tapping out so fast.
Right. And the ones that weren't tapping out, he was just dumping quickly out of the ring. So it wasn't like when Hogan fought off the entire Dungeon of Doom in WCW locker room
That was great.
and WWF locker room and whatever fucking local promo. I mean, all the locker rooms that they can find. Come on, we got to get Hogan.
Yeah, just keep sending them. But yeah, that was great.
It was.
And this was great too. I don't know. I like it.
Well, our next pay-per-view is for WCW is Spring Stampede. The main event is DDP versus Savage. So we're going to have to wait for Hogan and Sting. I think that's Starrcade. So we got a while to go. But our next pay-per-view is WrestleMania 17.
Getting up there.
Yeah, we are. And that features The Rock and Stone Cold in a no disqualification match for the WWF. They love their no DQ matches. Undertaker faces Triple H, and we get a gimmick battle royal. God only knows who. We get Edge, Hardys, and Dudley's 2, and this is a TLC match.
It's here.
Shane McMahon versus Mr. McMahon in a street fight. So it only took 17 years for Mr. McMahon to get in the ring. We have Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit, which should be a banger. We have Chris Jericho versus William Regal, which I expect to be a good match.
Pretty good lineup.
Yep.
But that is for our...
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you were doing it.
I was just saying, but that does it for our retro segment of the review. Overall, I would say it's a pretty good pay-per-view. There's some hokiness to it, of course, but overall, it's pretty good. WCW, outside of Sold Out, they've all been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, even I think it's because it's newer, fresher faces, I guess. Because with the WWF stuff, I don't know, it just seems like everybody kind of lingers, and you're familiar with it. You're familiar with the story and what led to get to where they are now. Right. But with WCW, it's a little bit more foreign, at least for me.
Yeah, you got people showing up like Glacier.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's already been on TV for months. This was his pay-per-view debut. I remember him too. Like all those vignettes. They kept showing his little eye. that was his thing. Show the eye.
I just remember him doing the karate with the snow for a long ass time.
Oh yeah, the snow too.
I also remember Coach Buzz Stern.
Well, there's a guy who's going to be coming out that's going to end Glacier's career pretty much. And by that, I mean, he will never be taken serious after that match, and that would be Goldberg.
Ah.
When he has a match against Goldberg, it's pretty much, he's a bust at that point.
Isn't Ernest Miller coming soon too?
Oh yeah, the cat. As long as he gets that dancing going on. You think we'll see the dance on the pay-per-view? I hope so.
Maybe.
That was always, yeah, he was one of my favorites just because of the dance.
Yeah, I know.
Not his wrestling, but how he'd stick his lips out. Yeah, he's doing not really doing anything.
Apparently, he's a bad wrestler.
You don't say. He's a bad dancer too. So, well, I don't know. He's trying to be James Brown.
Yeah.
But obviously, he couldn't do it to that level.
Yeah, he teamed with Glacier. Good deal. So he's coming.
There you go. Well, we are pretty light on the news, so that's always a thing. Ric Flair, he got kicked out of a bar. Do we have the producer? Do we have the clip? Okay, let's run the clip. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's
It
run
was
the clip.
working until you did the part. If you wouldn't have just said anything and just played it, it would have looked professional. You killed it. You killed it, son.
Let's get it queued up here. We got it.
Yeah, good. Well, I didn't do it wrong.
Can you hear that?
Except
Yep.
spend money and put this place over and bring my family.
So this is Ric Flair at the bar.
That is bad for you. Why would it be bad for you? Well, watch social media tomorrow.
Watch social media tomorrow.
You don't have to call me like that, sir. Don't ever talk. You don't have to call me like that, sir. You don't have to do this to me. If you're living in my family. I'm not removing. I didn't do one thing wrong. I walked into the bathroom.
And you cussed at my kitchen manager.
Oh, you're a kid high cost. Really? What world do you live in? What world do you live in?
He's so blitzed.
I never say a cuss word. You know, is that his word against yours? I didn't say one cuss word.
This is where it's gonna get good.
God.
The best part is he's wearing that jacket.
Ma'am, I'm going to give you $1,000 tip just to say to him, kiss my ass. You walk outside here.
So now he's trying to give the lady a tip to tell that guy to kiss his ass.
You're disrespecting me.
How am I disrespecting?
Telling me to leave.
I'm not telling you to leave, we're just telling you that you're cut off.
Oh, I'm cut off because I'm drunk? Really?
Yes, sir.
I'm drunk. You're calling me drunk. I had 2 heart attacks in a wrestling match.
$1,000 tip.
I'll look into it.
$1,000 tip. This guy and I are so cool. She and I are cool. And along comes the
Now
dipshit.
here's where it gets.
I just said it.
I never did.
I'll say it again. You're a dipshit.
Still yelling at the bartender here.
I'm leaving. Trust me. I won't come back again.
Thank God.
Come outside here and talk to me like a man.
I'm not going to do that.
Now watch this part here.
You're in the pussy clock.
Now this guy. This guy's jumped in. You want to go outside?
What's that?
Please stop, okay?
What did you just say to me? What did you just say to me?
Excuse me.
Oh, I brought my whole family here.
I need one of those little bar straws for big spoons.
And that's what I was alluding to. So it's funny that he's trying to get the bartender to go outside. You know, he's being a big man. Hey, you want to go outside? You want to take this outside and be a real man? And then the other guy jumps in. I'll go outside. And he's like, "What'd you say to me? I didn't hear you. What? I can't hear you."
the tough patron trying to pick a fight with an 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But now Ric Flair's like, "I can't hear you."
Man, they're so tough in Florida.
Yeah. Now, do you see that? Would you say Ric Flair was in the wrong here?
I don't know. I mean, if we're just going based on that clip, I don't know what happened because they're talking about bathrooms and shit. Like, what happened?
So again, no, we're just on that clip. So what, 2 minutes? But from what I gather, that guy, the bartender, was cutting Ric Flair off for having too much, and Ric Flair was getting upset.
Okay.
Like, how dare you cut me off?
Well, yeah, he said he spent a whole lot of money, so he tried to, tried to big league him a little bit. I mean, it wasn't a good look for Flair. I don't think anybody won.
Yeah, it didn't. Probably a lose-lose situation there.
Well, apparently Ric Flair, this all was brought attention because Ric Flair tweeted about it. He thought it was going to go down one way, and it went down the complete opposite way. We're laughing at Ric Flair now.
Well, he did bring it up.
Yeah.
Like he said, I'm gonna put this on social
Just
media.
you watch social media.
And it's also funny that the guy said, I don't have a phone. The bartender said, I don't have a phone. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You know damn well you got a phone. You can't. There's nowhere you're unplugged. But anyway, on that note, I guess, if you agree with anything, let us know in the comments. If you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow us on the social medias, follow us on the audio only. And is there anything else?
Just have a good night.
And until next time, top guys,